Check, check, check. Hey, what's going on? And welcome back to the Sundown podcast. I'm your host, Anthony, and today I'm here with
CB back in action.
CB. What's good, man? It's a pleasure to have you here in the studio. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's a special day because we got CB here in the house. CB, I've known him for about a year now, and I believe this is the first time we actually get together here on stage and get a second to entertain y'all and also get to know a little bit more about some of the things we don't know about each other, right? CB's an artist here in San Francisco, right? Tell us a little bit about your upbringing.
Yeah, so I'm from Baby Hunters Point.
Okay.
Grew up with a one-parent household, just me and my mom. You feel me? Pops was in and out of jail.
Yep.
And yeah, mom's, she did everything she could to keep me out of trouble and stuff. But as you growing up in that environment, you get into other shit. You feel me? But I would say my mom for sure did a lot for me. Feel me?
Definitely. Listen, similar to yourself, I also grew up in a one-parent household to a single mother, right? And I can only imagine how much effort your mom put for yourself. As you sit here next to me as a fine young gentleman, right? And you're about to graduate this year, right?
Graduated already.
You graduated
early.
Yeah, you graduated early, and I think the only thing that we have left to do to wrap up high school is walk the ceremony,
Yeah,
right?
That's all I gotta do.
And when is that ceremony?
That's June 2nd.
June 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll be there June 2nd supporting CB as he walks for his graduation. And congratulations on getting it done early.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't
appreciate
get it done early, but CB, as I've mentioned, you carry yourself in a fine manner. And you know what? Those are some of the rewards that you're reaping so far. CB, the reason we've gotten the pleasure to work with each other is because of the line of work that I do and the fact that you make music, right? As many of you know, I work in media, just like as what we're doing here on the Sundown podcast. How has your life been making music? How did you get into it?
Yeah, so growing up, I was always into music. It was always therapeutic for me, especially when I was going through tough times. I was heavy on NBA Youngboy, you know what I'm saying? And growing up, my mom always play gospel songs, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was always jamming with moms and shit, but I never seen myself making music though until I was 14. I had this homie named Jew, and he was always writing. So he been for years making songs, writing songs, and one day we was on FaceTime.
Yeah.
It was at probably 10 at night.
Right.
And he was rapping me his shit, and he was you know what, bro? Feel me, make a song. And I'm nah, that ain't me, bro. I don't make music. You feel me?
Yep.
He bro, come on, feel me? Fuck it, just do it, brother. I'm all right, let me find a beat. So I go on YouTube, right? We still on the phone on FaceTime. I'm looking through beats. I click this one beat, play it to him. I'm all right, bro. I'm finna just start writing, typing in my notes. So I typed the song, and I'm all right, bro. I'm finna rap it, bro. Let me know what you think.
Yep.
So I ain't gonna lie, I rapped it to him, and he was I ain't gonna lie, brother. This actually hard. I ain't gonna lie, bro. For me, no D-Ryan shit. You really cool.
Yeah.
I'm I ain't gonna lie, bro. I ain't think I could really do that. This do sound cool. Feel me?
Right.
He bro, start making music. I'm I'm still on some playing shit. I'm bro, I'm not finna be no rapper or nothing.
Well, look at that.
But I start that whole. This is in 2022. I was 14, and that whole year, bro, me and him was just making songs the whole summer. And then over time, I started progressing and finding my flow for real.
Yeah.
And I started noticing this could be therapy for me, because I could put my pain in my music.
Yeah.
I've been through a lot, so it went from the turned up music, feel me, talking about females and money, to really talking about the people I lost, the trials and tribulations I went through,
Yeah,
walking
definitely.
through that storm.
Definitely. I feel like it definitely is an art form that lets you write about, your life all encompassing, right? Everything about it, from the good to the bad, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned that your was it your mom or your grandma that would play the gospel music?
My mom.
Your moms.
Yeah.
Your moms would play the gospel music,
on
and
that, yeah.
and man, I don't listen to gospel music, on the regular, but the times that I listen to it, man, it's powerful.
Oh,
It's
for
powerful,
sure.
right? It gives you an emotion, it gives you feeling, and man, so you say that? Would you say that it's influenced you a little bit?
I would say so.
Yeah?
For sure, because my mom, she more of the gospel music she listened to, or even just songs period, because I would listen to New Edition with her and shit, like, oh God, feel
Yeah.
me? Can you stand there on my mama, shit like that. But like I'm into rap though. So like she had this like one artist she would listen to named like Uncle Reese and shit. So that's what made me really like get into music even more, because you know I'm not like huge on gospel, but like dude was like really rapping though, like
Yeah.
you know. So I'm like, that's what made me, you know, get more influenced by it for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I've worked on one project. It was actually a pretty big project that had to do with gospel music. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the BET Soul Train Awards.
Yeah, I used to watch that every year.
Yep.
Oh, God.
So I had the honor of working with Erykah Badu, Anthony Hamilton, Keisha Cole, and just name a few on a project for the Soul Train Awards. It was called the Soul Cypher. And I believe it was the 2019 Soul Cypher. And man, again, that whole day, it wasn't even work that day. You know, listening to all these artists just, you know, take, you know, pour their heart out in their music.
Yeah.
It was honestly a pleasure.
Being around greatness.
Being
crazy.
around greatness,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's awesome that you get influence, you know, from your family, especially you know the one that created your mom's. And I think that you know the reason we do that sometimes is because we also want to make the people who we love proud, right? So maybe you're taking a little bit of that and incorporating it in your music.
Oh, for
and
sure.
having your mom listen to it and sitting back and looking at her like, yeah,
Moms,
I know.
put
This is
you
why
in
I
the
made
song,
it.
you
Yeah,
know what I'm
exactly.
saying? I swear to God, like last week, I had my mom listen to a little snippet like of my song, and I was like just talking about my life, and I was like, Mom, listen to this. I wrote this whole verse like just for you.
Yeah.
And, you know, she was like, it was a proud like, you know, mom son moment.
Hey, that's what we do it for, right? And
So-
and listen, you putting all of that energy and all that love and emotion into your music, people can tell. On the other side of the microphone, we can tell through the speakers, right? So, as you're creating music, I want to talk to you a little bit about what your process is like, right? Walk us through a little bit about what your process is like to make this music. You already mentioned that, you know, you incorporate some of what you hear around you.
Yeah.
But what else would you say you do to make your art?
Yeah, so like when I'm making a song or I'm about to write a song, like first I have to be like in the right like mindset, right mood, you know.
Yep.
The vibe got to be right. So if it's like, you know, the week going by cool, but you know I'm also going through a little bit of things, and I want to like, you know, vent a little bit.
Yep.
Then I'll be like, all right, tonight, you know, I'm gonna write a song. So I wait till it's like 11 o'clock at night, and then I go on YouTube, you know, find some beats. I'm more into like sentimental type beats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I go on YouTube, you know, scroll through the beats, and then I play a song or play a beat. And I just keep listening to them until I feel like it's like speaking to me.
Yeah.
And then I play it like once or twice. Like once I know, like that's the one I know. So boom, play it twice, and then I just start
Get to it.
start finding the flow.
Yep.
And then from there, I just start thinking. It depends on what I want to write about. So if it's about like, you know, money, you know, females, I'm gonna write about that shit. If I'm like, you know, scored off, you know, some cho this week, you know, get some money, I'm gonna write about that. Or if it's about like, you know, losses, you know,
Yeah.
if I'm like grieving because I lost a lot of people. So if I'm like, fuck, bro, I'm going through a lot this week, bro. Like shit hard. Like I wish I could talk to somebody. You feel me?
Man, I feel
I
you.
just start writing about that, and it just like the bars start coming to my head. Like
Yeah. Well, listen, I feel you on that in that sense. Recently, times have been a little bit hard, and not to get into too much detail, but I've also been using music to help me get through it. Right? I've been listening to the homie Raimo's music. Right? Raimizi. Shout out to Raimizi.
Raimo.
Yep. And we miss you here in the studios, but we're happy for you. Yeah, I've been listening to his music, and honestly, I feel like listening to some of his true words have really helped me feel a sense of catharsis as we're going through tough times, you know, as you may be going through tough times as well, but it's really helped, right? So, of course, you do rap about some of the hard times, right? But you also mentioned some of the good times. What is a perfect day look like for CB? What's a perfect day in the life of CB?
Man, we gonna start off like early in the morning.
Yes,
you know?
yes,
Mom
early in the
just-
morning.
Man,
Okay.
Mom just made a bust down meal for me, breakfast.
Yup,
On God,
yup.
the vibe is right, sunny outside.
Sunny, okay, it's warm.
You know what I'm saying? You feel me? I go on about my day. I make a little money. You feel me? Whether it's like probably from my check come through. Say my check came through from work. I'm
Okay.
like, okay, it's they
Payday.
going cool. Like this is a cool like amount. Like
I'm getting excited.
they going smooth. So, after that, me with my therapist, cause shout out Jeremy. Oh God, he been my therapist since I was 7 years old.
Yep.
So he'll come and we'll go like take a walk. We just go by the water and just talk for an hour. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, man, bro,
Shout out Jeremy.
y'all know about Jeremy, bro. Like one of the best to do it.
Yeah.
But have
Everybody needs a Jeremy.
yeah, everyone needs a Jeremy for sure.
All right.
So have a great session in that. He leave, boom, I got a studio session, say 3:30. I head over here, Sunset Youth, knock out maybe 4 or 5 songs. I'm like a one take person, so
Yeah.
I get my songs done like immediately. It's gonna take like 3 takes max. You feel me? But I got down about 5 songs. The homie RJ pull up. We just chill, chop it up, eat some food.
Okay, so we're at the center.
Yeah, for sure. We at the center.
Oh
with
yeah. Oh yeah. That's a good day.
In at like 8.
It's a really good day.
Head back to the crib. Maybe if like some NBA games still on.
Oh yeah.
Because usually when I get back, if I leave from here and I get back and the Lakers on, because I'm a big LeBron fan, it's a like fourth quarter, and I'm big on basketball too. So
Yeah, Luka Don.
I just chill for the night. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
The day went smooth.
Right.
Maybe even watch a movie with moms because I'm a big movie person. So I'm always like dragging her to watch a movie with me.
Yeah.
That's a perfect day for me for CB.
Man, listen, CV, I resonate with a lot of your perfect day. Starting off with waking up early, right? It feels good to get up early and get going early, right?
Especially if you had some good sleep.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. When your body just wakes you up and it's like, yo, I'm ready to go out, right? The other thing I resonate with you heavy on is the Lakers at the end of the night. It's always nice to get home and watch a Laker game. I know you're also not a Dodger fan, but you're a Laker fan, so
Giants.
we can at least resonate there. But today's opening day for the Dodgers, so I had to wear my piece. For any of you people watching this podcast right now and might be wondering why I'm wearing the Dodger here with my boy CB, listen, it's my team and it's opening day. Please don't be offended, all right? We're just having fun here on the Sundown podcast. I'm your
We're just
host,
chilling.
Anthony, and I'm here with CB, right? And it's been a good day so far.
Yeah, for
right?
sure. Good
It's
vibes.
been a good vibe so far. You know what wasn't a good vibe?
What?
The pandemic. And I do want to ask you about it. We're a few years removed already, right? But you're about to graduate this year, which means when the pandemic hit, you must have been in about 13, 14
I
years
was-
old?
14.
14.
14.
Yeah.
13 maybe.
Okay.
But,
Well, listen,
yeah.
not a lot of people, get to experience that, especially not in that age group, right? A lot of the youth that we have around us currently do, have had that experience, but I think it's important to record what it was like. So if you wouldn't mind, what was it like for CB, going through the pandemic at such a young age, right? I know in hindsight you can touch upon the fact that you were younger. You still weren't the man you are today,
Yeah,
at the very least.
So I was a way different person back then.
Definitely.
So, it's crazy. I remember I was at Francisco Middle School. That's where I went to for middle school. And like Corona had just started, servicing on like social media and stuff and on the news. But we wasn't taking it like serious though. Like,
Yeah, we were.
And like all I remember is like, I swear to God, I remember like it was yesterday. We was on the yard, me, my bro Yasi, and then like some of our like classmates and then like teachers or whatever. And they was like, yeah, we're gonna like shut down school for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shut down school for 2 weeks? All right, it's good. We got spring break
Yup.
early.
Mhm.
So I'm like, all right, cool. 2 weeks go by. Then they like, oh, we're shutting down like the whole year. It's bad. Like no one can go outside. It's isolation.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn, mind you, bro, like this is like March, right? That's when it
Yeah.
started.
Yeah,
but,
I like to say about
but my uncle Ronnie, he had passed away like December 6th, 2019. That was like
rest
my
his soul.
dad, like my second dad for real.
All right, man.
So I was like, he had passed away from pneumonia and stuff, and like I was like grieving about that heavy too. Like especially my other bro, like Alejandro, he had died too, like right before that in 2019. So when the isolation happened and it was like everyone was in the house, like I kind of like started dealing with like depression and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just hard, bro. Like I couldn't go nowhere. Like before then, I was outside every day. So
Yeah.
when you like isolated in the crib, you can't go nowhere. It just make you like kind of make your mind like just flip.
Yeah.
So the whole pandemic, I ain't gonna lie, I was just on Zoom calls. Like we was still doing school, but I was on the PS4. I ain't gonna lie, like dude, on the class.
Hey,
I ain't
listen,
gonna lie.
that was the best time to be on.
Man,
That
like
was the
they'll be
best
like,
time.
CB, can you turn your camera on?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's not working, Miss Linda.
Yeah.
I was like, you feel me? So like, pandemic, this 2020, so we was really just isolated the whole 2020.
Yeah.
So going into 2021, it's still like pandemic, still a little bit, and like I had got my like first girlfriend, like
Okay.
you know what I'm saying. I had
Pandemic's
girls,
not so bad anymore.
Nah.
Yeah.
I had girlfriends before, but this was like my first like serious relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And you know, nigga was head over heels. You know how that shit go, bro.
Yep.
Your first love, bro. And like we was 6 months in, and boom, we break up, heartbreak.
Yep.
We still isolated though. Like we can't really do too much. Like we got masked every time we leave the house. So
Right.
that like made me go into like a real like dark place. And then like that same month, this in like April, I couldn't find out like my homegirl Paris like had passed away. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
from fentanyl overdose. You know what I'm saying? Like
So sorry.
yeah, basically it was a situation where like, you know, she was with people that she thought was her friends and they ended up, you know, putting fentanyl on her weed.
Oh, yeah.
So that like put me like straight back to ground one. You know what I'm saying? So mind you, I'm dealing with the heartbreak. So every day, around this time I started going to SAC in my grandpa's house.
Yeah.
And like what got me through that, I was just with my cousins like every day. It was hot in Sacramento, and we were just at the park all day or hooping, and then go back to the house, hop on 2K. We watching, my family big on like sports, so we was always watching like every sport, basketball, you know, football, all that. So like I feel like, you know, being around family, you know, that's what helped me like kind of overcome it. You know what I'm saying? Then I got
Definitely.
into music the beginning of 2022.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it was crazy, bro. Pandemic was, man.
A lot of pressure, right? But listen, as cliche as it sounds, it has made you who you are, because here we
Sure.
are in 3 years later, and we're talking about it, and those are the things that you're mentioning. So it's obviously stuck with you in a certain way, right? Especially being a young man going through that. First off, I want to say, you know, condolences to you, to yourself, and to your family, and to your friends' family. You know, for all of those experiences during the pandemic, it was definitely an interesting time. But yeah, man, I feel for you, and I'm with you with that, man. Pandemic was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then in 2022, then things started to let off a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
a little bit.
We started to get back into a more regular lifestyle, with not having to wear masks around, and you know, some say things got better, right? But one thing I will say is that I feel like pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, without getting too much into it, I just feel like life is being looked at through like a different film, through like a different lens, right?
It is,
like
bro.
for example, the look of an old movie to like a modern movie, and you know, after the pandemic, the look just got much more modern, and that's just speaking metaphorically, of course, but yeah,
Even my memory kind of like weird after the pandemic. I don't know if it's just me, but like, I don't know. It's like something that happened. Say it's New Year's, bro, or like, yeah, it's New Year's, and I want to talk about something that happened. I swear I won't even remember if it was last year or the year before that, bro.
Yeah.
Like, for real, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a blur for real. Like
Yeah.
everything is like a blur from the past like 4 or 5 years for real. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like the pandemic changed like everything. I don't think the world, it's for sure not been the same since.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think one thing is true, at least for me, and what I've noticed in my life, is that when we aren't on schedule with certain things that we're used to, for example, we didn't attend holidays, we didn't, you know, go through certain outings, sports were different. So I feel like that time is kind of hard to remember, because on top of everything I just mentioned, we were at home daily, right? We were waking up at noon, some of us. For a majority of that time, though, I was working, so there wasn't too many days like that for me. But on the days where it was, man, being in bed was cozy.
It was cozy at
cozy.
times,
It was
for sure.
cozy. And then, you know, we got right back to it, right? Fortunately, you know, we're here today because, as you mentioned, you know, not everybody was able to make it through the pandemic. But you did mention some good stuff about the pandemic, and that's you had a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Now, without getting too much into that relationship, I want CB's take. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us right now, we're here on the Sundown podcast. I'm your host, Anthony, and I'm here with
CB back in action.
CB. And I wanted to ask you, what CB, what does CB think of relationships in this generation, even post-pandemic? Are we cooked? Is this next generation cooked? What's going on?
Man, I don't want to do that our generation like that.
Yep,
Next
okay.
generation. But I think people have lost a lot of morals for sure. I feel like people mindsets is like real like immature in this generation. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
social media like play a big factor in that too.
Oh,
You know
definitely.
what I'm saying? Like everyone
Definitely.
run to the net nowadays and like put all their problems in their social media shit. Like they just put their relationships on Front Street. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I feel like for a long, healthy relationship to last, like you gotta respect yourself first. You know what I'm saying? But not like don't think with pride. You know? And like compromise, you feel me? Make sure you like compromise for them and, you know, be honest, you know. I feel like I always say like you gotta have like loyalty over love. You feel
Okay.
me? I feel like, you know, love is an action.
Yeah.
Loyalty, I don't know. They always say like, even with family, like blood don't make you related. Loyalty do. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like you also gotta like just keep your relationship private. Feel me? Don't let too many people get in between it. Cause like that shit in the middle like just fucks it up. You know, people
Right.
let they homegirls or like they homeboys like in their head about it, and then they end up taking it out on them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, love is like a game for real, bro. So you just gotta, you know, go with your heart, but also like, you know, watch the energy you put into people for sure.
Definitely. I like one thing that you said specifically, and that's keeping your relationship to yourself, right? You know, not putting it out there too much, especially on social media, because sometimes when I see people put things out on social media about the relationships, they can be thinking very emotionally,
Yeah.
right? And then one thing I also think is true about relationships is not everybody loves your partner the way you do.
Yeah.
So maybe they won't forgive them the same way you do, you know. So some of those things that, you know, are between you can maybe stay between you and be in a better place left
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, for
Between you two. Now that's not to say don't, you know, keep everything between you and don't let your partner talk to others or anything. Not at all. Because we're humans and that feels good, right? To talk to even other people about our relationships and it helps us even come back, you know, into our relationships with sometimes new aspects of thinking, right? And sometimes even it can just even alleviate some of what we feel, right? Sometimes even we just want to know and see if people have been where we're at, right? Or ever felt what we feel, and just have a conversation about it, right?
Yeah.
So, but make sure you're doing that with the right people. Right?
Sure.
Definitely, CB. Listen, I love that advice. And before we get going, I did want to ask you a few questions, 2 more questions to be exact, I hope. And that's a little bit about your past, right? CB, as I've mentioned to you, I feel like I'm sitting next to a fine young gentleman. But what does CB from 5 years ago think of this? Think of yourself. I'm sorry. What does CB from 5 years ago think of yourself right now? What would he tell you?
Man, so like what would the past self tell like present me?
Yep.
I feel
Is
like
he proud? Is he?
I feel like he would be like beyond proud. Like, where did you even come from? You know?
Yeah. What does he think? Is he proud of him? Is he proud of you right now? What is he thinking?
Man, bro, he exceeded all his expectations, bro. Like he thinking,
Good.
like, bro, where did you even come from? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, man, and I feel like because 5 years ago, me was a totally different person. You know what I'm saying? So I was for sure more like immature back then. Like, you know, I was still like a kid. You know, I was
Yeah.
14, but you know, that's still a kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
you know, I feel like I would be, you know, asking myself a lot of questions, you know, how did you get here, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, you don't only have to have been a kid at a certain time to look back and think that you were young. I think that's something that's true for ourselves at every stage that we surpass, right? For example, myself, you know, at 25 is when science says that you fully develop your frontal lobe. so that you can make more
That's what they say.
better decisions, right? But not correlating too deep into with that. But I can see the fact that I did think differently when I was 25 than I am now.
Damn.
Right? Yeah, which is just 5 years ago, right? 25, I'm 30 now, which is
30.
the new 21.
Dirty 30.
Yeah. But it's cool. I think as we grow, the other thing that we can do is appreciate the knowledge that we gain.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Every day we gain a little bit of knowledge, and if you're not, I'm just kidding.
You need to evolve, man.
You need to evolve, yeah. But listen, I think it's great that you feel that your younger self is proud of your current self.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? You want to be proud of the person that you are because you've worked so hard. We're proud of you here. But my next question is going to be on the future, right? Where does CB see himself doing 5 years from now? Where's CB at? What can we expect CB, to be introducing himself as?
Man.
Yeah.
I see myself definitely, pushing this music stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I feel like I should be, situated, financially. I want to have like a clothing brand. I think I should have like a clothing brand. For those who don't know, my brand would be called like RLB XBTD. So me and Bo, like we made that like in 2022. So basically, the backstory on that is like RLB means like riches over bitches. You know what I'm saying? Then BTD is brothers till death. So like we combine those two and like some like kid shit. We was like, you know what? We need like a name, a number for it.
Yeah.
So we were like, it's 2022, bro. One day we're gonna be legends. We're gonna look back and be like, hey, let's call it like 22, like double deuce. You know what I'm saying? So I want to have like a clothing brand. In 5 years, I want to be acting. Traveling the world.
Yep.
I see myself being like real active in the community. Giving back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, listen, I think that's a great thought of what you want your next 5 years to look like, right? And now the only thing left to do is the legwork, right? But CB, I want you to know that the legwork is not something that you can't attain or even get to doing, because the truth is that as you're 19 now, in 5 years you'll be 24,
18.
right? You're 18. You're 19 now.
18. You're still 18.
Oh, you're 18 now.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought. Excuse me. I thought you had said you were 19 earlier today. But okay, you're 18. You'll be 23, and by the time you're even 25, in these next 7 years, I'll say that in that age range is when we definitely get a lot of more experiences, right? Whether that be in college or whether that be out in the real world, right? Working and having those experiences. The reason I say that is because it's not just the transition of going from school to another school to then work or work, but also stuff at home changes, right? You're an adult now. Now you have to start maybe giving your part, for rent or for whatever expenses that you may have, because as you become an adult, you also have more needs and definitely more wants, which that's where things get really expensive. But it's a beautiful process, right? Because that's part of what growing is. And CB, I'm really happy to hear that you've got a great idea of what you want those next 5 years to look like, and I want you to know I think it's attainable for yourself.
I appreciate that, man. For sure.
Well, is there anything that you wanted to ask me here before we get off of the Sundown podcast?
Hey, what advice would you give to the audience that's watching? Whether it's in life,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, some of the advice that I would give is to do things with a great attitude, right? To do things that you love, because that will also help you do it with a great attitude. I would also give the advice to reach out to your loved ones every once in a while. I know it's not common for people to do that, even though we like to, but reach out to your loved ones. Tell them you're just stopping by to say hi, or to tell them that you love them, right? Because you never know.
Yeah, you never
Right.
know for
You
sure.
never know.
Pick up from that. You really stole what I was gonna say, bro. I ain't gonna lie, but yeah, check up on your loved ones. Mental health is important. You never know what someone's going through behind closed doors, and believe in yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Definitely.
Stay resilient. You know what I'm saying? Just know that when it's a storm coming, ain't no brick wall, it's just a speed bump.
Yeah.
Be more fearless. Hold high expectations to yourself. And don't let no one tell you can't do nothing, bro. Like, whatever you think, like, thoughts are powerful, bro. So whatever you think, you could think into existence. You know what I'm saying? So law of attraction, you don't know about that. That's for another day. But my mama, you know.
No, you definitely can. And hopefully on another day, we will be able to catch up with CB and see what exactly he meant here at the end of the Sundown podcast episode. But until then, we will see you next time. We appreciate you listening to us, and we'll see you soon here on the Locked On Podcast. Here on the Sundown Podcast. I'm sorry, the Locked On Podcast is another podcast that I listen to, and I guess it's just in my head. But here on the Sundown Podcast, I'm your host Anthony, and I'm here with
your boy CB, man.
CB, back in action. That's what it do.
Double dose.
Ladies shut down the corner store, and the owners getting old, can't afford to go and pay the rent. Sour power pitches stickers, 58 cents. Hitting up buses with the stickers, getting up on the panel with the markers was our main event. Now we think about it, and then
I want to say that I really do appreciate giving the grass answers.
and the smoke too heavy, get to take a breath. Ain't safe, be braver. Everyday labor, so I over not all profess dying. So the 90s is the age of the Raiders, and we all in the game. Say a prayer for a player.
I know you see me walking on a tight.
Yes, I thought you said 19.
18. I think that was.
Oh man, got plans for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'm in time.
Hi, how you doing? See you walking on the tightrope, doing something similar, turn the lights off. I don't want to see me in my next move, living in the world where they
Thank you
fight
so much
in
for
the
coming
head.
through CB. Also, let me know whenever else I can get this. But let me know whenever else.
The trouble minds that will time before the shine decay. Time to wait, see you later, ain't no time to waste. I'ma chase what is mine, I'ma set the pace. Better brace for the race.